Okay, so we're now going to multiply and divide with our inequalities, still just one-step equations. Something a little bit different here is if you multiply or divide both sides of an inequality by a negative number, you have to flip the sign. So I'll give you some examples here and show you. Basically, whatever you're doing to both sides, if that number's negative, you need to switch the sign. So if it's less than, it'll become greater than. If it's greater than, it will become less than. So here we have negative 3x is less than negative 15. Remember, the L looks like the less than sign, so you can remember that's less than. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 3. We divided by a negative, so that means we need to flip our sign. So we have x is greater than 5 because we have negative 15 divided by negative 3. So it is going to be an open circle. So if it is a less than or greater than, it's going to be an open circle. If it is less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, it's going to be a closed circle. So that's something very important to remember. So it is pointing to greater than, so it is going to be greater than 5, but not equal to it. That's why we have an open circle. So for this next one, we're going to divide both sides by 8. So P is greater than 5. We did not flip the sign. We didn't divide by a negative. We just divided by positive 8. So again, it's going to be an open circle pointing to the right, because P is greater than 5. I always think about it too, is if you have a greater than sign, it looks like an arrow, so it's pointing this way, just like you would for the line. Okay, so we're going to divide both sides by 12. Y is less than or equal to 4. It is going to be a closed circle on 4 because it's got that equal to part and is going to go to the left. See how the arrow, the less than sign is pointing to the left. You can see it's pointing to the left. Okay, we're going to divide both sides by negative 4. Dividing by negative 4. So then we have 4. We're going to flip our sign. Is less than or equal to m. But remember, we now need to rewrite it so our variable's on our left, so our rule over here works. Okay. So we got to flip our sign back around because it's got to go to big, m is bigger. So m is greater than or equal to 4. So we're going to have a closed circle at 4 pointing to the right. Pointing to the right. So make sure you check that one. Make sure you have your notes filled in correctly. Here we go again. The same rule. Multiply or divide. Both sides you're going to flip the sign. So here we are multiplying by negative 1/2 with x. So we're actually going to divide by negative 1/2. But remember, when you divide fractions, it's the same thing as multiplying by negative 2. So we have x, and then we have negative 4. But we're going to flip the sign because we multiplied by a negative. So we're going to have a closed circle because it has an equal to sign. Oop, I'm sorry, that's going to be a negative. Let's change that one real quick. So it should be a negative 4, and it's pointing to the right. We're going to multiply both sides. We'd actually divide by 1/5, but again, dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal, so we can get away with just multiplying on both sides. But I am not going to flip the sign here. Why am I not flipping the sign? Because I'm multiplying by a positive. Even though my answer here was a negative 1, and multiplying it by 5 was not negative. So even if the first number's a negative, it's got to be done to the both sides with a negative number. And 5 was not negative, so we didn't flip the sign. We are going to rewrite it now because we want our variable on our left, so our little arrow rule works. So then that's negative 5. So it's an open circle pointing to the left because x is less than negative 5, so it's going to be smaller. Next one, we're going to multiply both sides by negative 3. Negative 3, that means we're going to switch our sign. So it's going to be a closed circle at negative 3 pointing to the left. Multiply by both sides by 2. We're not going to flip the sign because these numbers here were not negative. So y is less than negative 4. So we're going to have an open circle at negative 4 pointing to the left. Okay, go ahead and fill in the rest of your notes and then check the keys.